So it says we're online.
Okay, then I'll start now. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Utkarsha, and I'm an associate PM at Product People. And today I'll be moderating the session on behalf of Product People. I'll briefly introduce Product People to you, and then we'll have the presentation, which will be followed by a Q&A and networking session at the end. So about Product People, we are a German-based consultancy based out of Berlin, and we provide product management consultancy services, and we help companies efficiently deliver great products faster. So these are some of our clients like Scout, Zalando, Tier, and these are some of the clients among others with whom we have worked or are currently working. And what we do is we do all the hands-on and unglamorous work of product manager and or product owner on an interim basis. We also make pretty decks, but yeah, we rather prefer to deliver outcomes. And we are a fully distributed team with the legal entity in Berlin. And how we do this is we fill the temporary product management needs in our client's organization as interim PMs. And we are also a product community builder, and we invite product leaders to share their knowledge and experience around product management. And yeah, now I would like to share news from our side. So we are hiring for lead product manager role. We'll be working hands-on with our clients to discover and deliver great products faster, and to also help train new PMs and help product people strive. So today we are glad that Maria has joined us. Maria is the Director of Product at IPONWEB, and she'll be sharing with us knowledge about building new B2B products with lessons learned at IPONWEB. So thank you, Maria, for joining us, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you for having me. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah.
All right, everyone can see it?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so hi again. My name is Mryasova, and I'm a Director of Product for the TV side of business at IPONWEB. And in 2019, I was tasked with building a completely new product for the TV clients of ours. And today I'd like to share with you some of my learnings and what were our observations, and maybe something that we could have done better during that time. So today I'm going to start with talking a little bit about who we are and what we do. I'm sure not everyone is familiar with our company. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about this journey of ours since 2019, and then going, and it will be very, very well seasoned with all the different stages of new product development that we have discovered, and then a little bit about where we are now. So I'm sure that at least some of you have encountered digital ads, maybe even within the last hour. Whenever you see an ad online or on your smart TV or on your mobile device, there are actually a lot of companies that have to do their job right and who have to complete their work for you to see that ad. So from the targeting to the ad delivery to the playback and then to the click-through, all of that is what basically our industry in advertising technology does. IPONWEB and my company, we are providers of media technology, as in we are building the platforms and powering the pipes for those ads to be delivered from the sell side to the demand side and vice versa. All the words here that you see around programmatic, real-time bidding, and machine learning, all of that we're using to determine the best ad possible for a particular user. And we have been doing this for more than 15 years, have powered more than 170 different systems for our clients for the publishers, so the companies who actually own the websites, or the TV channels, as it's the case with TV. And for the demand side, so for the marketers, for the agencies, so for those companies who actually have the ad dollars to spend those. So as we have this really big footprint in digital, a couple of years ago, we have started looking outside of our main business and determining what else can we do. And who else in the industry, so as in the media industry, we can help, and what would be the challenges. It was determined that the TV side and the TV industry is actually a really, really big chunk of our world, and there are tons of interesting questions to be answered, and that's when we have started experimenting with that. So in 2019, just like I said a bit earlier, we were basically tasked with, okay, we need to build a new product for the TV clients. And because we know that they have a lot of money and they have a lot of inventory, and we need to figure it out somehow. So when we started, and this is just a quick intro to the TV product itself, I'm not gonna, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be naming it tonight, because this is all very much corresponding to our PR strategy and marketing, where we're not naming our products due to the confidentiality that we provide to our clients. But nevertheless, this TV product is a SaaS solution, and we knew that we wanted to go towards the SaaS way from the beginning. So those are some of the inputs that were coming my way back then. We knew that we wanted to build something for the TV and video publishers because they have a lot of inventory, and we want to help them monetize that inventory more effectively and efficiently. So we knew that we needed to bring not just the pipes, right? Not just the infrastructure for the ad delivery, but also to build a product that would be comprehended and understood by the TV clients. And they don't necessarily have or know everything about digital advertising, just like we do. And they operate in totally different, in different terms, and they have different business models. So we understood that it's great that we have all this knowledge in digital advertising, but we need to adapt it and bring something new to the market. And we knew, so basically what I'm saying is we knew that we had to build a UI, and we knew that we had to do the infrastructure. Now the question was, all right, so how do we do it and where do we start? So in 2019, just like in Fear and Loathing, we knew that we had a team of 2 PMs, 6 developers, 1 UI designer, and 1 QA. We knew that we have around 5 modules to develop from scratch, right? From, just like I said, from the actual front end to the back end itself. And we only have 3 months to go live because our mighty team of salespeople have already agreed to do 10 client demos at the industry's largest event, actually in Germany, in Cologne, in September. And I was getting all this information at around March. I was like, okay, well, all right, this is great. Now we have to do the planning and everything, and then only 3 months to develop. So where did I start? Well, just writing down all the different questions. Of course, what does the start mean? And then what is the MVP? I knew that in this very short period of time, we can't talk about bringing something completely thought through, and that we don't have enough resources for us to just invest huge amounts of time and effort, because we don't really, this is the first try, and this is the first time when we're building something for this new type of client. So we don't really have the luxury to know from the beginning to an end what will be the full list of features. So we had to start small, and we had to start with an MVP, and then just go and test it very, very quickly. We knew that we had the deadline, but we didn't know how to meet it. And of course, a very important question was, how do we know that we're actually doing this right? So what does the validation stage is gonna look like, and how do we roll this out? How are we going to prepare for those demos and everything? So let's take a look at the first question here. So basically, where do we start? And just to operate in kind of easier terms, we've decided to call this the business opportunity scoping. we've decided to start following the money and just analyzing how big of an opportunity are we facing. So we knew that we had to do something for the TV clients, right? And we knew that they have a lot of money, but how exactly are we going to make money in this industry? And this brings me to, I guess, the first part of the exercise that we did, which was the analysis of the past projects. And my tip number one, you don't have to start from scratch. Like, even though you were being tasked to do something and just to build it from the get-go, you have the experience, if not yourself, of your past projects of the company or some other companies that were doing this before you. So doing your homework and doing the research is very, very important. And by analyzing our past projects, we were able to figure out, okay, so this really works, and this is what was selling very, very well. So, for example, we knew that we had to invest in the UI because a lot of users of our clients, as in sales users, media people who interact with the system, they actually need those. They actually need the graphs, and they need the very fast and intuitive UI to interact and to create and set up their new campaign. So we knew that we had to invest here. The second point, as part of the business opportunity scoping, as I see it, is figuring out the business goals and requirements. So the business requirements, and this is, I guess, my observation number two, the difference between the business requirements and the product requirements, as I see it, is the business requirements focus on what does the business need your product to do, right? So it's much more about how do we make the money out of this than what does the product actually does. Product comes later, and so the product design is actually going to be the next slide. But at this stage, you need to understand who are you building this for, as in the broader sense of the business goals and the objectives that you are setting for yourself and how much money you're going to be making here. Which goes to the next one, as in the product business model and evaluating your budget. So, okay, now you know that you're gonna have roughly three different types of users that are going to be interacting with the system: sales, ad operations, for example, and admins. And you know that all of those have different needs, and you will be assessing the business needs of the ad sales users for the observable future. And you know that you want to make the most money here, and you know that you have to adjust the pricing strategy accordingly, and then you're evaluating your budget. So some of the learnings, besides what I've already mentioned, this is a very good time to ask the uncomfortable questions, to ask the sponsors the uncomfortable questions around, okay, so what is actually going to happen if we run out of money in the next 3 months? So because we knew that this is such a short period of time, and we thought that we have a team and everything, but what if we are not making the deadline? What if we can't actually deliver this in time? What's going to happen? Do we have enough budget to start looking for additional resources, or can we adjust some of the demos or something? This is a really good time to start doing this, because if you're asking for resources earlier and playing it safe, if we wouldn't have to be in a situation where people would actually tell you closer down the line, saying, you know what, like, yeah, I wish we could, but because you didn't put this in a budget, now we can't help you. So you need to actually think about it from the very beginning. The next part that we did, the next step here, as we saw it, it was called, we were pretty much following the design thinking framework, as I'm sure you're familiar with it. So at this stage, we were talking about the problem definition. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? And I'm sure everybody here loves to ask this question. As you know, working in product, you're always asking this question. But what is actually the problem we're solving? But at a bigger sense itself, right? So okay, I know that I'm eliminating all of those pain points for the different type of personas and user roles that are going to be interacting with the system, but how does it correlate with the product strategy that I have? And if I fix this now, what is going to happen next? And is there a bigger problem that I may be missing just by thinking of this easy, low-hanging fruit type of problem solving? The next thing here is the product market fit. And the product market fit, as it's very much, well, in my view at least, it's kind of close to the product value proposition and figuring that out. So we were using a lot of, the business model canvas, and of course the value proposition canvas, where you're finding this fit for the product, for the gains and pains and the pain relievers and the game creators of your product, and you're analyzing this and thinking, oh, okay, yeah, so I see how it's not just connecting to the needs of my target personas, but I also understand now how to go to market with this and how to package this whole. And overall, I think this is like a very, very important step and very important stage of when you're trying to build something, because if you are not going to figure out this now, the price of error of figuring this out later when you actually started the development will be way bigger, because you will have the risk that you have implemented something, but then only later you've discovered that, yeah, maybe actually we had to do the prioritization differently or something, because this is where you start. And then you of course go to the product requirements, where you are actually thinking, all right, so what does my product actually need to do in order to solve all this problem for my users? At this stage, some of our learnings, I feel like the UX team should be your best friends. And of course, our product, as I already said, was very much UI heavy. It was crucial for us to get the UX team involved at this product design stage and during the problem definition, and walking them through the whole kind of thought process of, this is how this problem is important to this type of user. So for example, to the sales, right? And now from the sales perspective, this is what their jobs to be done. And this is what really worries them. And this is how we're solving this. And from this perspective, it then helps your UX team to define all the needed tools and frameworks of how to build an experience around it. It's equally crucial to involve the dev leaders here as well, because the earlier you start involving those, and I'm talking about the team lead. So we were working very closely with our development team lead, because we knew that since this is such a short period of time, then we need to just go fast, and we have to know what are the different priorities. And what are the different actual deliverables that we need to put on paper and then into real life. And lastly, but last but not least, of course, this is where we started doing the validation. And I'll come to the validation in a little bit, but overall, this was a very good time for us to start validating it with friendly future users, as in we asked some of our clients who we knew would be willing to cooperate, and we kind of played the B2B card, right? Played to our B2B advantage, as in just you can actually go to the users and ask them directly for feedback. And this is what we did. We showed them some of the concepts, and we showed them the prototypes, gathered the feedback, and adjusted it. And when I'm talking about the prototypes, they were really high level prototypes. And even with that, with the wireframes, it was already a very productive kind of action for us to adjust the delivery that was coming next. In the definition of the MVP, as I see it, it's all about, well, in the 4 stages that we were doing at this time, it's about prioritization, estimation, planning, and then actually deploying it. So, I mean, not a surprise, but you have to start with the requirements, mapping them to features and this is where it also gets interesting, because once you put it all on paper for the requirements, that this is what I need my product to do, but the number of features that this requirement solves actually can be a really big list. And this is where you start thinking about the epics and the tickets and all of this. And on our team, we did, well, just like I said, we had 2 PMs, so we were working very, very closely on just creating this really big master sheet, where we saw the different delivery items, and we were going very, very granular. We were setting the priorities based on the outcomes of the previous phase, because just like I said, it's just it was super important for us, and all the feedback that we were getting, and we were adapting our plan accordingly. We were working with the dev team to estimate the effort for each of the future tickets. This is very true to our traditional IPONWEB type of delivery. So just very, very hands-on and very fast. We were always working in one during that time in 1 week sprints to see immediate result and to be able to validate it and test fast. We created this really big Gantt chart, and this is where I also give I can also share another tip of mine. Just be as much of a pessimist as you can, because whenever you have a short period of time and you need to deliver something big, you need to think worst case scenario to minimize your risks, and you have to be a micromanager. I know not everybody likes to do it, but you actually have to be a micromanager because you need to make sure that all of the different tasks that are being done in parallel, they are all being done according to this plan. Otherwise, it's just all gonna, it's just gonna be for nothing. And at the same time, because people are working in parallel, you need to be able to motivate them and analyze each team member's capacity, right? Because not everybody works the same, but that's totally fine. Everybody have different, levels and different sort of best skills and best qualities, and you need to play on that. And I feel like as a product manager, in a lot of ways, sometimes we delegate this to the dev team, but being close to the developers and having not just the relationship, but also just this understanding of like, what else can I do for the team, for them to be more productive, or to ease up their life, just to give them as many requirements clearly defined as possible, and just make sure to answer all their questions and adjust my plan. Like this is what was really important for us at the time too. And lastly, of course, it's all about the deployment. So I was also planning the releases according to the big feature plan. So the critical features, the absolute must of what we had to create for September, they were going first, and that was a non-negotiable item, right? So all the pretty things, all the decorations, as I was calling them, they had to wait, because we had to provide the critical functionality first. And when we were building this product, I was able to follow to my own advice, but it doesn't necessarily happen often. So that's why I thought that I'd remind you guys that yes, stick to your priorities plan. If it's critical, it's actually critical. Just make sure it gets delivered, and help the QA team by thinking in advance how we're gonna actually be validating this. So it's one thing to have the prototype and then compare the mockup to the final result, but you need to think of the validation rules and maybe a couple of test cases to help the QA team get involved in this new type of user role, right? And like in this new type of new type of business for our company, because they don't have the context, and it's your job to deliver that context to the team. What I did next was starting to prepare for the big launch. Even though we were just starting the delivery, and like, just imagine it's me back in June 2019, I was already like, okay, in a lot of ways, my feature list depends on, actually the demos that I have in September, they depend on the feature list, right? So I have to understand the environment that the demos are going to be conducted, because showing something at a really big conference is not the same as doing a soft launch for 3 biggest clients, for example, because you don't have the same attention span, you don't have the same involvement from each of the different people who are watching your demo, and same goes to the audience. Who are you presenting this to? If it's the salespeople of your future clients you're presenting, like it was in our case, it was extremely important to understand what gets them going, right? So if I'm going to build a very, very technical UI, well, I know it doesn't really make sense, but if for example, I was to build a very technical UI, and it was basically would consist of different forms and different business rules and technical rules, and all about, for example, I don't know, creative file metadata validation or something, right? This wouldn't be sexy to the salespeople who would be seeing my product for the first time. I knew that I had to incorporate something that would really not just get their attention, but phrase it in a way that would make them understand. And this is where we started collaborating with the marketing team on not just creating the script for the demo, but also making sure that we use the right terms and the right approaches for our audience. Then on the script itself, the preparation was key. Of course. I mean, it goes without saying that you have to test your main and secondary flows. So everything that you're going to be demoing, you have to test multiple times before, because even 5 minutes before the demo, something may happen and you may not have a working product. And just from my experience doing this thing sort of for the previous clients, I knew that I had to like spend enough time here. And same goes about bugs. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when we did it in September, we had a ton of bugs. I mean, it was pretty unrealistic to build something of this size with the team that we had without any problems, but none of the clients actually saw it because I knew how to avoid them. And I was acting like playing some sort of some sort of minor game where I knew how to avoid them and how to expect the questions that the people who were watching my demo would potentially ask me, and I knew how to cover for that. So for example, if somebody asked me, oh, it would be really helpful if as a sales executive I want to export my future campaigns media plan, because like this is what they do and they need to support it or to submit it to their clients, and we're like, oh yeah, well actually we do have that supported here, take a look. And even though it worked for just one use case, if you clicked on, for example, display plus geo or something, and then it would get exported, I knew how to get it there, and people were like, oh yeah, so it's working. So I feel like a big part of this launch was just avoiding the weak spots and just knowing where to grab people's attention. But of course, that wasn't all. Even though you're live, and in our case, yeah, we had 10 demos, all of them went quite well, and then we were able to sign the contracts a couple of weeks later, which was fantastic. But then we're like, all right, but this doesn't end our product journey. This is literally the beginning, right? So I knew from the beginning that we would have a lot of sales feedback, and that all the feedback that we were getting and people's thoughts that we heard during the demos, we had to incorporate that. And so this is where, you know, I'm kind of diving into the validation a little bit, and also just how to have enough evidence that for the decision making for the future kind of priorities of your roadmap, and what else you might be doing. So of course, the sales feedback, client services as an account management feedback, for example, is very, very important in B2B. And for the business and product metrics, I mean, it goes without saying, sorry, that it's as a product manager, you have to analyze it, you have to always look at it, you have to configure your own dashboards, and you have to have the triggers to analyze how your overall product usability is going. Because our product is tailored to the TV needs, we knew that we had to leave a little bit room for flexibility around the custom logic and the appearance. So we started this practice where we would involve clients in early feature design, because we knew that we could benefit a lot, not from just their feedback, but actually they will be the ones, you know, paying and using these features. We can just ask them to be involved, and especially the salesy, the more business type of business kind of facing type of users that interact with our product, they would be very happy to participate and give their thoughts, and that's what happened. And of course, we were doing usability interviews led by our UX team. So this was very important for us as part of the validation, because we built this thing and we're like, okay, cool. So this is the demo stand. What's next? And as soon as we started getting those contracts and we started getting setups on our product, and just to remind you guys that, yeah, this is a B2B product. So we were just basically creating those marketplaces. So like a workflow optimization engine or platform, as to kind of describe it in simpler words, for each of our clients. They had the flexibility to choose the appearance, for example, and then we would go together with the UX team and walk them through the flow and ask if, you know, we got it right. So going back to the product design, remember when we were talking about the user well, the target personas and their jobs to be done. And this is where we were actually getting the feedback, like, did we actually get it right? Or is there something that needs to be changed? And yeah, of course there was, but this is completely normal and this is expected, as always. All right, so one of my last slides, and I hope I'm not going too much off board, sorry. Our product journey continues, of course. Today, we are helping the broadcasters, so the TV companies in Europe and Asia, and actually a little bit in the US as well, to optimize up to $1 million of their ad budgets monthly, which is actually, yeah, a lot of budget. We have a nice team of 13 people, and we're sitting across 3 regions. I'm based in Berlin, and some of other my team members, they're based in London, Singapore, and Moscow. And we plan to onboard 3 new partners this year, which is, yeah, and may not sound a lot, but it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of new features for us to support. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much for listening to my observations and to my learnings of how we were building our B2B product in 2019. Yeah, please connect with me on LinkedIn if you found this useful, or just drop in to say hi. Thanks.
Thank you, Maria, for the insightful presentation. So we are now open for questions. Everyone who has joined here on Zoom can ask their questions verbally or on chat. And others who are joining us on YouTube or Facebook, you can type in your questions there and we'll transfer it to Maria, and she'll be answering the questions. Okay. I'll just see if we have any questions right now. It will take some time. Meanwhile, I have one question. So you mentioned about this product market fit, and then you created the user personas. So I just wanted to ask that how would this process be different for a B2B product than for a B2C product?
Well, I only can speak from the perspective of the B2B product, of course. So I would say that for us, it was a bit more, I guess, obvious, because we knew that on our client side, on our those type of organizations, there are, you know, these different teams. And usually when you're talking about, like, for example, about a broadcaster, we knew that their media sales team would consist of sales team, and then ad operation, then, for example, legal, commercial, and then some other teams. And we knew that, okay, we need to actually think about this too, and we can talk to some people that we know from in the industry, and then we can actually ask them about their day and how it was going. And yeah, so that's how we came up with those personas. It was, yeah, I guess we have that benefit of actually building the system tailored to the end user, who will actually, and we know the users or their typical day, and yeah, what gets them going, their benefits from this job and everything. So I guess this is different to B2C, where you don't, yeah, where you have to do the thinking yourself. Let's put it this way.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for answering this question. So we already have 2 questions on YouTube. I see a question from Alexi, and I see, oh, right. Okay, so the question is, do you have access to any metrics from client side regarding the UI and UX, or is it only sales feedback?
So yeah, maybe I can explain a little bit better what our product does, and it will sort of answer itself. So the product that we have, it's a web app, as in, like, you open it in your browser, and it's a platform, so you interact with us, and different type of users, as I already said, so like sales or ad ops, so ad operation people, so the ones who actually configure the campaigns and then track their performance. They were using our and still are using our platform, and they usually belong to the same organization. So we know, because they share with us, we know they're their sales plans. And we know, for example, that in 2020 they had to make I don't know, like $3 million in total bookings, for example, right? So like all of the ad budgets that would go through us, we knew that this would be the target. And because we had those strategy sessions together with the client and also very close partnership, we would be able to incorporate that into our metrics and then control what is the cumulative total, what is the cumulative ad spend versus ad budget and the fill rates, which is some metrics specific to our industry, and how was that going. For the UX metrics themselves, it was very much, of course, important to analyze the sessions and how the interaction with the platform was going in terms of the different hotspots and the modules that we were releasing. But yeah, overall, I would say that most of our metrics, they are just business targeted, just because we need to make sure that the platform is being used proactively for booking new advertising campaigns through us. And yeah, so the number of campaigns that we monitor, the budgets, and everything related to ad delivery, all of those, we already have exposure from the usage of our platform and whatever the client shares with us during our monthly sessions with them.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering this. Hope it answered the question. So we have another question from Max. The question is, did you run into any difficulties developing with a team spread across the globe? So as a PM, how do you overcompensate for the lack of in-person interaction?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it's really relevant to all of us in this pandemic times. It was, I would just say, as a leader of product, I was just very much focusing on building the trust in the team, and that making sure that people understand that if you don't see somebody doing something all the time, doesn't mean that they're not working. When we were developing this product back in 2019, of course, the situation was better in terms of there was no COVID, but we were still in a lot of ways working remotely. So everything went back to doing our homework for the product design during the product design stage, and this very granular project plan, right? So making sure that all of the risks of when we were analyzing or like trying to estimate a task, we would also include this rate of some randomness happening, just making sure that we are minimizing our risks of not making it to, or not achieving this sprint as much as we, for example, planned. And just having the faith in people and that they understand their responsibility, and everybody was understanding and was very responsible at the time, and they still are. So that's why I guess our team is growing and our client numbers are growing. So I guess we're doing something right.
Okay, great. That was a very detailed answer. So I have a few more questions on YouTube, and I'll just ask the next one.
All right.
Okay, so the next one is from Ilyana. Can you talk more about your process for identifying your potential customers' jobs to be done?
Potential customers. Okay. I guess this is sort of like two questions in one. Very good question. So about the potential customers, we have a sales team who are thinking, and who I, as a product lead, I collaborate with on the future client profile. So we know that because this is the problem that we're solving, right? So particularly our products in particular, we are helping the broadcasters to monetize their inventory more efficiently, and we are helping them to make more money by attracting new advertisers. So this is sort of like the problem statement, or the value proposition of like what we generate to our clients. And then together with the sales team, we were like, okay, so we knew that we had to go to start with the European and Asian clients, and we were literally looking at all of the broadcasters that exist in the region and all of the TV companies from large to medium who can afford this product and who have enough volumes of trading to be able to kind of opt in for our product. And yeah, we took a look at that list. We determined how we can reach out to those people and how we could make this happen. Yeah, once after, so as soon as there is an encounter and there is an initial chat that the salespeople would lead, I would come in and I still do, I guess, and I would talk to the client to try to find the right people on their side who can help me understand how they sell now, what are the problems that they're facing, are they satisfied with their ad sales strategy as it exists now, are they satisfied with the ad server that they use, so their technical stack, what are the different challenges that, you know, for example, not the first user persona, but the secondary one, as in the ad ops, for example, what are their challenges? And just having this chat with maybe 3 or 4 people on the client side already helps a lot, and it actually helps a lot in our personas mapping too, because the more people I talk to, and then I get that context and all this knowledge back to my PMs, we can all adjust and revisit it and be like, all right, so this new features and like the list of things, the priorities that we have for next month, for example, is this still relevant with all the feedback that I just got, or does it mean that, you know, maybe we can replace something and reprioritize or whatever? So yeah, I think it always comes to being in product management. It always comes back to the original. Okay, let's not get too carried away. What is the initial problem that we're solving? What is our product strategy? But not in the numbers, but actually not just in the numbers, but in the actionable items. Like, this is what we have to deliver, and this is what we need to support. And always revisiting who are we building this for and how we can get that feedback. Yeah. Hope this answers it.
Yeah, it was very well explained. So yeah, I hope it answered the question. So I have another question from Michael, and it is about what were the goals of your app after 3 months, already for use in production, or rather for the demo? So how do you manage the expectations of clients when you still have a buggy beta version?
Yeah. So I guess, well, let me rephrase. So this is a question about if we didn't have like a fully ready product, how did we start getting clients, and what was the impact, right? Yeah. So when I was talking about the bugs, and of course they were there, just like I said, there is a difference between having the bugs in the main flow, which is, I believe, like an absolute no-no, and then some you know, issues or some things that may not be working smoothly, but at the same time they may not be the priority for this client. So when we just started, we had 2 clients, and they were completely opposite. So the first one was a rather big organization with like 3,000 people, and they were they had a really big team that we knew would interact, and we had to get them to interact with the platform on a daily or some on a daily, some on a weekly basis. And we knew that because they are ad sales, they have to do ABC, and they have to have the reward for doing this, and they have to have the satisfaction of doing something, right? So after we talked to them and after we gathered the requirements from them, because we knew that we could adjust a little bit, and if you remember, I was talking about our system being flexible in the way that we are solving some of the business needs, and also in the appearance. So we talked to them, and we called this, and we usually have this part of the kind of client onboarding, and it's called we call it a workshop, but there might be a better name to it. But when we do this workshop, this is where we're really getting to what is the most important thing to the client, and what are the secondary. And for the most important one, this is where we have to go all in and just make sure that everything works smoothly. If something is like a secondary thing, and more importantly, if there is a phased approach that we can introduce to this, and this is what we're actually doing with this first client, we told them, all right, so this is quite a big project. We're going to start with this small number of use cases that you want our product to help you achieve. And then in the second phase, for example, 1 month later, we can also add this additional features, and then they're going to come, in a gradual pace. And so this way, we were also able to kind of distance ourselves from those problems that we knew we had, and then reshuffle the resources, because we knew that the main flow was already working. It was there, great. I mean, we only need to adapt the files that we were receiving, for example, and for example, the audience data and the geo data from the providers that we were getting. But everything was working, right? And at the same time, it gave us time to work on the rest of the things where it was buggy. So yeah, I would say it's about setting the expectations and prioritization, and if possible, introducing the phased approach to the client as part of the services you provide.
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining this. I hope it answered Michael's question. So I have next question from Maria. I don't know if you would want to ask verbally, but yeah, I can also continue asking. So the question is, what were the most important validation metrics you used on the product side to measure the performance of the MVP?
Yeah, I think I partially answered this already with some of the previous questions. So even when we were validating, so there are two things, I guess: validating before the launch and then validating with real clients. So before the launch, we were going to the users, we were showing to some friendly potential clients what we were working on, and it was getting their attention, and it was getting them excited, and then potentially opting into the platform. And the second part is after the launch. So after the launch, once we had real clients, everything was around ad spend, to be honest, because it's the most important thing for us to make sure that we get a lot of money flowing through our platform. Otherwise, it wouldn't cover the cost of the support of any product any product setup on our products. And we need to make sure that infrastructure costs and labor costs, of course, are being covered, and that we're making money here. So yeah, it's the metrics that are important to our clients, they're important to us. And the user, in terms of the usage, we don't have a license, we don't have a license pricing model. The model that we have, which is SaaS, is our clients, they just pay the same license fee every month, but it doesn't tie to any sort of user licenses or certain platform usages. You can do whatever you want on the platform. You can book as much as you want, and we actually encourage all of the inventory to be sold. So yeah, we're looking at the ad budgets, we're looking at the fill rates, and we're looking at available remnant inventory that the client may have, because we need to it's in our and their interests to fill in as much as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for answering this one. So yeah, I think I took up all the questions from YouTube and yeah, from Zoom as well. So thank you so much for your presentation and answering all the questions. And thanks to everyone who joined us on YouTube and Facebook and also on Zoom. So we'll now continue networking on Zoom. And if you want to join, you can join us on the Zoom. And yeah, we'll continue networking.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, thank you for all the wonderful questions. I know that our, business specific is not very standard, and that a lot of my answers weren't probably making much sense because I only have this context in my head or something. But yeah, please reach out to me on LinkedIn if you found this useful or if you want to connect. I'm new into Berlin, so I'm really looking forward to meeting new people here. I know it's especially hard to do this now during the pandemic, but it's going to be over one day, and then we should meet up for coffee. So thanks once again, product people, for having me. This was this was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Alexei, have you stopped streaming?